It landed like the horn on the bay at dawn, low, clean, and impossible to ignore, because tonight the front office and the locker room finally lined up on the same idea. If this season is about turning great intentions into rings, then the roster needs a vertical pillar who changes the floor under our feet. And I'm going to take you inside that idea with the clarity and urgency Dub Nation deserves. Welcome to Warriors News Fan Report. I'm speaking as your guy in the building and your friend on the couch, and I'm going to do this the right way. I'll set the real basketball context of why this team still leaves points on the table. I'll show you how the cap rules and timing actually work in our favor. I'll lay out what the rotation looks like when the piece drops. I'll be honest about the risk and the price, and only when everything is in place will I put the final name on the table, at the exact moment where it hits hardest, because in this town we don't chase shiny headlines. We hunt moves that win in May and June. Start with the court, not the rumor mill. The Warriors are most dangerous when Steph bends geometry on one side. Jimmy Butler leans on a mismatch on the other. Draymond connects the whole machine with short-roll playmaking, and Al Horford cleans the paint with angles and brainpower. That spine is why the offense has flow and why the defense can talk through the storm. But the nights we've suffered have a common thread you can feel without a stat sheet. No true vertical spacing at the rim to punish help. No automatic second-chance pressure to suffocate opponents after misses. And not enough deterrence at the cup when elite guards turn the corner with force. The result is a game that depends on being close to perfect at the edges. Every cut on time, every rotation crisp, every screen set with the kind of force you can hear. When one piece dips, the whole map hums a little less. And in a Western Conference that throws size and downhill power at you 3 times a week, almost doesn't survive a 7-game series. That's the basketball truth. Now the brief for tonight, so you know exactly what you're getting with me. First, I'll show you the pockets on offense where a pure lob threat and elite rim protector transform the math for Steph and Butler without taking touches they don't need to give. Second, I'll put the defensive shell under the microscope, drop, at level, and switch rules, and explain where a 7-footer with timing and discipline makes everyone's life easier. Third, I'll translate the cap and calendar into regular language, because second apron teams don't get to dream, they get to engineer. Fourth, I'll walk through realistic cost and frameworks without fantasy trades. Then I'll take you to the whiteboard for lineups that actually matter in playoff basketball. And only then, at the exact beat it belongs, I'll deliver the name, the why, and the what it means. Let's hoop. Offensively, this roster is full of smart cutters and shooters who read the court at a high level, but the paint is still more threat by principle than threat by gravity. When there's no true vertical magnet, low men cheat towards Steph, nail defenders sit a step closer to Butler's drives, and Draymond's 4-on-3 packages require 3 perfect passes to open the rim. Give this group a center who sprints rim to rim, sets bone-deep screens, and lives above the square, and the geometry changes instantly. Weak side tags arrive 1 step later. Corner help hesitates, passing lanes widen. Steph's pocket pass turns into a lob, Butler's bully drives turn into drop-offs, Draymond's short-roll decisions go from threading a needle to tossing a balloon. Add second-chance pressure, tap-outs, volleyball tips, elbows and forearms, offensive boards that wear down the opponent, and you give this team the old Warriors feeling, the sense that even when the first shot misses, trouble is just beginning. On defense, the ask is simple but not easy. Anchor the back line without becoming a statue. Play drop when it buys time for chasers to recover. Come to the level when a hot guard demands it, and flip to switch in late clock without panic. A real rim protector relaxes everyone's body language. Point of attack defenders can contest harder. Wings close out with more honesty, and Draymond can direct traffic knowing there's a broom behind the first screen to erase mistakes. That shows up in everything you don't see on a highlight reel. Fewer cheap fouls when the guard snakes the pick and roll. Fewer emergency rotations that give up corner threes. Fewer possessions where the whole defense looks like it's running across sand. Now the calendar and the cap in plain English. Second apron rules are handcuffs unless your move is compact, controllable, and compatible with the rulebook. What helps us is a very specific lane. Young big on rookie-scale money, No balloon payments this season, and team control that lets the franchise decide timeline and price later. That's how you add real basketball value now without lighting the future on fire. It means your frameworks live in two places: picks plus a small salary match, or a painful but adult swap where a highly valued young guard goes out and an anchor comes in. Either way, if the target is the right kind of big, the pain is the proof you're solving a playoff problem, not polishing a regular season stat. And because you want the full picture, I'm going to the rotation board before I say the name. The first look is Curry, Butler, Kuminga, Draymond, new 5. The idea is simple. Steph drags too high, Butler punches gaps, Draymond ties it together, and the new 5 is the hammer, not the painter. Horn's sets become trouble because one high big can be Dre, the other can be the new 5, and when Steph pops, the empty corner turns into a runway. Spain pick and rolls get their bite back because the vertical threat forces a real tag. Second units? Slide Melton or Moody in, keep 1 star on, and the new 5's job is pure tone setting. Rim runs, screen and sprint, crush the defensive glass, and make the opposing 5 feel like he's fighting a backpack by the 4th quarter. Crunch time. The decision is matchup-based, but the gift you give Kerr is choice. Against 5 out, Horford's IQ wins. Against contact and paint math, the new 5 closes and the opponent lives with flying bodies at the rim. Risk is part of the deal. Let's be adults about it. A pure rim big changes your ceiling, but brings trade-offs you have to own. Can he survive versus 5 out without switching himself into trouble? Can he short roll pass well enough so teams can't simply trap Steph and live with the big making decisions? Can he keep hands vertical and feet quiet in space so his blocks are erasers, not fouls? And what happens to spacing when he shares the floor with another non-shooter? Those questions matter, and the answers depend on the specific human you bring in, their habits, their motor, their appetite for boring work. The price is a truth, too. For a top-shelf rim anchor on rookie money, you're not shopping with couch change. You're paying with a premium pick or a beloved young guard. And you're doing it because it answers the exact exam you're sitting this spring. And now, with the map in focus, I'm putting the name on the table so the picture snaps into one piece, the move being lined up. Studied from every angle and pushed toward the stage is the pursuit of Walker Kessler. A 7-footer with real timing, a frame built for playoff minutes, and a contract that slides into this cap sheet like it was designed for it. No last-minute extension means team control now and restricted choice later, which is front office music when you're trying to ride Steph's prime without closing doors. The fit is so clean you can feel it without numbers. He screens like he means it. He runs like the floor is tilted toward the rim. He blocks shots without hunting them out of scheme. And he turns defensive possessions into transition chances with the kind of volleyball tap rebounds that make coaches grin on film day. Next to Steph, Kessler's screen angles become the first pass of the possession. Set, flip, seal, and the pocket is there. If the low man tags, Steph hits the skip and the weak side shooter gets a standstill 3. Next to Butler, it's blue-collar basketball. Bully drive draws 2, drop-off becomes a dunk, and the big man's hands don't lose the gift. With Draymond, it's all about trust. Switch the responsibilities on the fly. Sometimes Dre shows at the level while Kessler guards 2 on the back line. Sometimes Kessler plays shallow drop while Dre tags and peels. With Horford, the geometry is delicious. Al drags a 5 out of the paint with pick-and-pop gravity. Kessler owns the dunker spot like a landlord, and suddenly every drive ends in a decision opponents hate. With Kuminga, you create pure pressure, 2 downhill threats that dare defenses to pick a body to foul. Kerr's playbook grows a chapter the second Kessler lands. Horn's twist with a strong side split becomes an auto lob if the help steps in. Angle pick and roll in early offense stops being a time filler and starts being a hammer. Empty side actions are built to feed the big with one read. At the same time, the defense gets back its most underrated weapon, boredom. Opponents stop loving the paint when every float, scoop, and delayed layup is meeting 7 feet of timing. That turns into second-guessing, and second-guessing turns into pull-up mid-range, and pull-up mid-range turns into long rebounds, and long rebounds turn into Warriors' legs running downhill. The rotation is straightforward on paper and ruthless on the floor. In the first 6 minutes, Kessler sprints and screens, owns the defensive glass, and sets the contact standard. He sits when Al orchestrates the 5-out reads, then closes quarters based on matchup, time, and whistle. Against heavy post teams, he's there. Against 5-out second units, Al runs the classroom. In crunch, Dre calls it like a conductor. If we need the lob, if we need the wall at the rim, if we need the second jump to erase a putback, Kessler is on. If the ball needs more hands and the paint needs to breathe, Horford closes and you survive without losing size. The staff's internal rules don't change. Play who wins the possession. On the risk ledger, be honest. Kessler won't shoot you out of a zone by himself, and his free throw routine still lives in the work-in-progress folder. 5-out playoff series will force Kerr to dance lineups in ways that lean on Al and small ball stretches where Draymond is the 5. But that's the point. You're not replacing answers. You're adding a different one the playoff bracket will ask for. You're buying the ability to defend the rim in the minutes that killed you last spring. You're buying vertical gravity that saves Steph and Butler 3 hard drives a night. And you're buying an offensive rebounding pressure that adds 4 invisible points a game when it matters. Price. With honesty. There's no world where Utah picks up the phone and says, "Thank you for the spare parts." You're talking a premium pick plus a salary match. Or you're stepping into a hard conversation where a beloved young guard's name is involved. If the conversation touches Brandon Podziemski, that's real pain because he's a culture fit who wins possessions without volume. If it touches Trace Jackson Davis as the salary piece, that's the math of the cap more than a judgment of a kid's growth. You can also structure it as picks only if another team helps facilitate, but the point remains, grown moves cost. The reason you even consider it is because Kessler answers the exam our bracket will give us. Denver's verticality? You meet it. Oklahoma City's constant rim pressure? You meet it. Minnesota's size? You meet it without turning every possession into a foul line parade. Cap mechanics still matter, so here's the blueprint in normal words. Rookie scale number in, controlled raise later, no second apron traps today, and a future decision point you choose rather than one forced by the market. It gives the front office a lever if the board flips in February, and a bridge if Kessler's growth curve rides with us into next season. More importantly, it gives this locker room the message that actually sticks. We see what wins, and we're going to add it. Let me bring it home clean, the way you asked me to from the start, with a concise analysis before I hand you the mic. Walker Kessler to the Warriors is the most adult kind of swing, a move that raises the defensive floor in the minutes that decide series, gives the offense a vertical gear it's been missing, fits the cap like a glove and hurts in the way that proves you're serious. It won't erase the need for 5-out answers or free throw growth, but it will turn close games into our kind of games, where gravity at the rim multiplies Steph's genius, rewards Butler's physicality, and lets Draymond be everywhere without being everywhere at once. Now it's your turn, Dub Nation. Would you pay a premium pick and a young piece to bring in the exact rim anchor this bracket demands? Or would you hold the line, trust Al and small ball closing, and keep the guard room intact? If Utah asks for pods, are you in or out? If the path is picks plus a small salary, do you greenlight it today? Drop your take below with the lineup you most want to see in the final 5 minutes, because this channel runs on your read of our team's reality. If you're riding with this kind of honest, grown-up basketball talk, lock in, subscribe, hit the bell, and stay close to Warriors News Fan Report. Because the second this plan moves from dry erase board to paperwork, I'll be right here with the breakdown, the fit, and the film that proves why it makes sense where it matters most. The spring.